Twixters are these young adults who are stuck in between adolescence and adulthood. And this is a newly coined term that happened, I think, in the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006. This word, Twixter, came out. And it got me wondering, wow, I'm a Twixter. I'm stuck in between adolescence and adulthood. And it's basically anyone in their 20s is kind of living at home. They're maybe not sure what to do, or they settle with an undemanding job. They avoid stress. They avoid promotions. They avoid anything that could help push them forward or help them grow. And I realized, yeah, this was me in my early 20s, absolutely. Now, that being said, I did go to university. I graduated at age 22. But then 2 years after that, I was a Twixter. I love this name. I don't know who came up with it, but it's a fantastic name. And I lived at home with my parents, got free rent, couldn't get a job for about 2 years, just continued to work in retail, and I was okay with a satisfactory job that paid just above minimum wage. I was okay with that. And I settled with that for 2 years. And then at some point I decided I don't want to be this person anymore. Now at that time, because this is probably 2013 for me, I would say. Yeah, probably about 2011 to 2013. So I didn't know, actually I had never heard of this term Twixter until a couple months ago. So now I know what it's called. But anyway, I was a Twixter after graduating. I essentially just continued with my retail job. And yeah, for 2 years, I could have gone into some marketing position, but I didn't. I delayed for 2 years. So I am what we call a Twixter, at least back in those years. And it was a miserable existence. It was a miserable existence for me. I would just lay in my bed most days. If I wasn't working, I'd be laying in my bed. I wasn't accomplishing anything. I wasn't giving back to the world. And I was okay. I guess I was okay with it, but definitely miserable deep down, knowing that I'm not actually helping anyone else. So how did I get out of this? Because I like sharing these issues, right? I like sharing these issues with you because you might be in the same boat as me, or you might be a few years younger than me, or you might be a few years older. I don't know your situation per se. There's a lot of you out there maybe tuning in. And I want to give you a solution to this, because I don't think being a Twixter is what you want to be, because you're going to regret it, or you're going to get stuck in a situation that you cannot get out of. Almost sounds like a U2 song there. But anyway, you need to look at the situation and say, okay, enough is enough. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be living here. I want my own life. I want a girlfriend, wife, kids, etc. You start putting that in your mind, because I think those are good, worthwhile things to aim for. And then say to yourself, if I keep living here, I'm not going to get any of this. If I just live in solitude, I'm never going to get any of this, because I never put the steps in place to get there, to get where I need to go, to get out of the Twixter land. And you don't want that. You don't want to be a Twixter, because it could become your entire life of Twixterdom or whatever. I don't know. I'm making up suffixes to a word that was already made up. So what am I getting at here? Well, figure out, I don't want to be this person that says, oh, figure out your purpose. No, because then that makes it even more difficult, because then it makes it seem like you have to really work hard to find that purpose, right? That's not really what I would suggest. Find the first step that you can actually go for, because that's what worked for me. I found my first step by deciding that I need a better job than this retail one. I have a degree. That's got to be worth something. You're always going to hear that the job market is very difficult. Guess what? Everything is very difficult. Okay, I did a video about things that are too hard, right? And talking about how just everything in general is too hard. That being said, the first step is getting your resume together, sending it out there, and getting the job that you want. Because retail jobs will always be there. But you'll never, ever get out of Twixter land if you're just always working in retail. Because, well, I don't know, are you going for a promotion? No? Oh, okay, well then you'll just always be the stock boy. I mean, I was the stock boy for 5 years. I didn't seek a promotion. I guess you could justify I was in school and I could slack off. The reality is I shouldn't have been slacking off. I should have actually tried to take on more responsibilities that would challenge me so that I could grow in that position. So maybe you have a retail position. If you do, well, a first step could be seeing what you can do to get a better paying position where you're at, okay? Then you don't even have to deal with your resume. You're already in. But hey, maybe you don't have a job. Maybe you're so deep in Twixter land that you're starting at the bottom. Well, okay, just grab whatever retail job. Anything that can just get you going, right? Get the rhythm going. Because your parents will always love you, and that loving relationship will keep you there for a very long time. It kept me there. I was 22, then 24, 25. 25 is when I got my corporate gig in marketing, and that's when I decided I'm going to send out a couple resumes a day, until I get this job, because I know that this is not the existence I want set up for me. So just a couple resumes, and within a couple months, I actually got a job. It worked out. And I managed to get the job by saying, hey, I have 2 years here where I didn't do anything, but actually, I pretended that I was freelancing, okay? I kind of fudged the truth a little bit, because I knew that gap year, couple of gap years, would have an effect, a bad effect on my resume. I didn't have a good explanation. Well, now I do. I was a Twixter. Yeah, so now I can tell people that. But put that on my resume. That's my role. I was a Twixter. You don't really want that kind of job title, though. I'm telling you, deep down, you don't want it. I know it feels good that you can live at home, and I did, and it was great. Food was covered. Rent was covered. Everything was covered. Oh, it was great. I didn't have to do anything but work this simple job that didn't require my mind at all. It was just doing the same thing over and over again. I decided I didn't want to be a Twixter. And the resumes just kept going, and I started getting a few interviews. A couple first times, disaster. Terrible interviews. And I crawled into a little ball, and I laid in my bed for a couple days, little discouraged, and then I tried to get back into it. Yeah, I got right back into it. Boom, 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 resume. Because I needed that job. I needed to get out of the Twixter world. Because retail was definitely not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I had a degree. And I'm not going back to school. I don't need any more education. I don't need an MBA to get a job here. A degree is more than enough. If you just have to go and get out there. I remember one day, I went to an industrial business park with 15 resumes in hand. I went door to door to door to door to door. It was cold out. Yeah, it was cold. I had a suit on. I had a tie on. I went out there in my crappy $1,000 car, and I just went out there, door by door, just giving my resume. Sorry, the receptionist would say, hey, no, we can't accept it. It's all online. I know that. We're talking like 2013. And of course, it's all online to put your up. But I still wanted to make the effort. And I know it was uncomfortable. I was sweating. I was nervous. But being in this situation, in the business park, going door by door, trying to find the entrances to these places, just trying to get my resume out there, I knew that this existence, as painful as it was, felt marginally better than being at home, wasting away. I knew that. So I had to keep going, and it was really tough. Another year, there was snow, and I was trying to go to hairdressers, and I was trying to get a client. I was trying to just get some sort of marketing experience. And I remember just walking through the snow in the parking lot to my car, and thinking to myself, this is a terrible existence, but it's just slightly better than being at home wasting away. So I had to just keep going. Now, none of this worked out. I'm going to be honest with you. Going through the snow and going to the business park, trying to get clients, trying to get any sort of gig that I could, none of it worked out. I actually didn't get any positions because I was a bumbling fool. I went to these places. I didn't really have a solid strategy in place. I didn't really know what I wanted. I just wanted to get out. So I never got a job. But I mean, I made the effort out of that. Eventually, I actually got a job from my online efforts. So say what you will about that. But I managed to get a job through Craigslist, and it paid me. It paid me a good salary, like, I don't know, it was like 50K Canadian back then, my first job. And, you know, it wasn't the best paying. I didn't even know what good pay was back then. I just was ecstatic to have a little bit more structure than this retail job. So now I could quit my, well, actually, I had quit, right? And I had gone in, I quit the retail jobs. For some silly reason, I quit the retail job. The only thing that was keeping me together, and I had quit that. And then I had just gone into a really deep hole. And then at some point, I decided it's time to go to the industrial park, time to go to Craigslist and all these different places, just try to get my resume out, right? So I had all this time to make my situation better. But I mean, I guess a good thing was I got out of retail. I recognized that this is not what I wanted, so I got out of it. That's important. I said, no, I'm not going to stay here. And even though I'd be even more of a Twixter by leaving the job, I got out of it. And it's like I had to go through this darkness in order to figure out what I really wanted to go for. And I managed to get a marketing job, like this $50K a year marketing job. And I'm not going to quote the exact salary, but, you know, we'll say the rough number. But it was a modest amount for me to start, and it was a heck of a lot better than wasting away. So I took it. I mean, why not? It's good structure. It is one step away from being a Twixter. So, yeah. And a couple of years later, I had enough money saved up. I got a car. Bad move. Probably shouldn't have bought a car because my crappy $1,000 car was running perfectly fine. I didn't need another car. Should have just used the money to buy a place. But anyway, you know, I was really good with money and I never spent anything, so I saved up more than enough for both a car and a place, and or at least for the down payment, and now I have my own place, and it's great. I get to now be the master of my domain. I'm not dependent on someone else, because that's a tough existence. And your parents if you're living with your parents, they will want you to stay probably for a while. Some might want you to get out. Right? It just depends on your parents. And I mean, I think it's great either way. Your parents want you to get out. Awesome. They see that you should be independent. And then if they want you to stay, hey, that's great too. It means they love you and they want you to succeed, and they're there for security. And I think that's a good cushion to have, as long as you don't smother yourself with that cushion. You don't want to just get too obsessed with it to the point that that's where you're at. So this word Twixter, you don't want to be defined by this word. You want to get away from it at some point. Realize that your parents are always there, and you can always go back to your parents, but certainly you don't want to be that person. I was that person for a long enough time, and I appreciated the time that I was there. I appreciated the time that they gave, and the time of just taking care of me. And I'm really thankful for that, and I'm glad that I managed to get out of it, and I'm starting to build my life. Right now, my life's not 100% perfect. Just because you're on your own doesn't mean everything's sunshine and roses. No, the hard part is just getting started. But at some point you say, I can't be a Twixter anymore, and you move away from it. And I hope you do. And this is for all young adults out there. Young adults who are saying, oh, I got my degree, now I can relax. The 4 years is tough. Getting your degree or getting any kind of education is tough. And then you're kind of on your own. You're on your own. No one's telling you what you have to do next. And this is why you get these Twixters. Because, well, what's comfortable now? Well, what's comfortable is not studying in the textbooks and not having to go back to school or not having any kind of structure at all. So Twixter was born, right? And I mean, hey, if you want to take a year off and travel after school or what have you, go for it. It doesn't really matter. Just realize you don't want to be with your parents after 20 years. Because you are more than capable of getting after whatever it is you want to get after. And you put the pieces together, and day by day, you'll get there. Resume by resume. But please don't be a Twixter. Please. I was a Twixter. I wish the name wasn't so good, though. Because if the name wasn't so good, like, maybe, it was some sketchy word. But Twixter, it's like, who wouldn't want to be one? Just by the sound of it. But you don't want that. You don't want that. So go away from the Twixter land. And then I hope you'll be happier that way. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the Twixters today. And if you're a Twixter, leave your comment. I'd love to hear from you. See what you're doing to get out of the situation of Twixterhood. Okay. Till next time. Toodles.